In 2019, I decided to bring to life all that I lecture and research. Millennials mindset, demographics, new work issues, female shift, education, digitalization, and automatization of our companies and businesses. And above all, the next level of education. Out of this was born the idea of the human and technology-centered ecosystem. I am absolutely convinced that success in the future will be the smart combination of human intelligence and technological intelligence. As a result, I am constructing a human and technology-centered ecosystem as a platform for education. There will be an after-school learning center for kids, offering a wide range of digital and creative education, from coding, 3D modeling, robotics, graphic design, and to music production. There will also be a future work lab for our generation and an experience and knowledge center for companies and government institutions with their own very special learning content. It will be a hybrid ecosystem combining physical space with the virtual space. And I'm, at the moment, in the virtual space. I'm not real. I'm the real Steffi, and I'm here in front of a widescreen studio. And while I'm talking, you see me at the same time as a hologram in the Portl Hologram. And that's absolutely crazy, because from now on, you can beam all your customers or, for example, experts into your own space. And my partner, Stan Mapes, founder of Versus Labs and Spatial Web Foundation, David Nussbaum, founder of this Portl Hologram, and Newtonlab Space, where I'm honored to be guest today here in Barcelona, are all pioneers and inventors in this kind of technology and field. You will experience a lot of crazy new technologies like holograms in all offices, homes, and educational institutions across the planet over the next 10 years. Nothing more, nothing less. This will be the fourth place of work and life. I wish to collaborate and experiment in this field with many partners in the form of a platform offering solutions to the current challenges faced by companies and businesses who I address as a keynote speaker year after year. My partners, like Dan Mapes of Versus Labs and Spatial Web Foundation, and we both know fully well that the fourth place of work, in other words, the virtual interaction between work and life, will be one of the most important technological and human interaction spaces of the future, where incredible opportunities lie for all of us. The space is resource efficient, it is accessible from virtually anywhere in the world, it is egalitarian, and above all, it is new, which gives us the opportunities to completely rethink and reshape this virtual world. Never before has there been an era in the history of mankind where a new generation of young people, us the millennials, have had so many incredible opportunities and prospects to achieve our dreams, desires, and ideas, no matter how crazy or unbelievable they may be, almost without risk and virtually free of constraints. We, the millennials in 2021, are presently able to choose from more than 20,000 courses of study and apprenticeships. However, 65% of all careers that will be available in 2030, we have not yet heard about them. Not insane enough, we millennials can already select our careers from 5 million companies in Austria, Germany, and Switzerland. That has never happened before. This is really amazing. And this multi-optionality is, incidentally, both a curse and a blessing for us millennials. One standout desire and longing to be found in a third of all millennials is the wish to start our own business at least once in our lives, using our work experience as well as our know-how and creativity. If we are not taken seriously in companies, we simply quit and prove the opposite in other businesses. We learn quicker, in a shorter time frame, and a different way compared to generations before. What also sets us apart from other generations is that we can travel around the entire world. We love to experience diverse cultures, celebrate neurodiversity, gender diversity, cultural diversity, as was seen by the worldwide reaction to the Black Lives Matter movement last year, even during the corona pandemic. And almost the whole of my generation participated, because we know that we are digitally connected. For that reason, we are never alone, and that's what makes us strong no matter the issues. We join global movements and are forever updating our own idea of reality and how we see the world. We want to live our dreams, and we want to live them now. When things are not fair, we try to change them. Together as a generation and community, we stand up against them and try to positively and vocally change them. Just like Black Lives Matter or Fridays for Future by young Greta Thunberg. We have been living in an extremely noisy world for a long time, namely in an attention economy in which awareness has become extremely important. My millennials generation celebrates inspirational people who think and act differently. First and foremost, of course, the great Steve Jobs, who we all miss very much. With the iPhone, Steve Jobs gave us two important elements. First, a wonderful telephone experience, and second, a technological tool with which we can call, network, learn, work, take pictures, record our world, in short, with whom we are we. So for the first time, technology became a piece of us. And that is why our generation is also known as the digital natives. We celebrate Elon Musk, who would like to colonize Mars, who has revolutionized electric mobility with Tesla, and is currently driving the entire automobile industry forwards. We celebrate Greta Thunberg along with the new Vice President of the United States of America, Kamala Harris. By the way, congratulations to our dear friends in the United States. From an economic perspective, we also see the world differently. My favorite example, we prefer to book our holiday accommodation with Airbnb rather than with Hilton or Marriott because we trust our own communities, networks and hosts more than the stories media and brands are telling us. Airbnb is a great example, a typical case for representatives of my generation, which I have been describing for the last 6 years and more than 500 times as a keynote speaker to highlight a fundamental difference between us millennials and previous generations. Airbnb, today only 12 years young, does not own one single hotel bed. It was founded by millennials representatives who, by the way, had never worked in the hotel industry. Now I ask you, who can name those teachers, professors at universities, the hotel and hospitality experts who would have thought it possible 12 years ago that Airbnb would be worth more today than the 10 largest hotel companies in the world put together? More valuable than Marriott, Hilton, Wyndham, Acre, Interconti hotels, and so on. Collectively, these companies provide more than 5 million hotel beds, and that's absolutely crazy. We, millennials, also radically question our parents' values, namely leaving strangers alone in your own home and even letting them sleep in your own bed. My parents would never do that. Airbnb, by the way, relies on the value of trust that the Airbnb community and network has built up worldwide over 12 years, across cultures and across countries. The value that the Airbnb community pays for is the value of trust, not insane business KPIs. A really amusing example from Europe is BlaBlaCar, based in Paris, a car-sharing agency where the passenger pays less the more he talks, hence BlaBlaCar. The platform is based on the principle of the sharing economy, so why should two young people who have the same destination go there in separate cars when one would be sufficient? Together with the value of trust, just like Airbnb. What also unites us as millennials is the lack of respect for the status quo. On the contrary, we love to challenge the status quo politically, socially, economically, and next in line will be education. We don't operate in experience mode, but want to explore the world with open eyes, and in doing so, question a lot of things with why. We learn from the Airbnb story, and there are, by the way, thousands of these success stories worldwide, that we should not be ignored. But this is happening every day in companies, in businesses, in teams, in offices, in other words, everywhere where people work. For this reason, I'm asking for a youth quota to take up top positions in business, politics, administration, science, and culture. Only over the last few years has this seniority principle really started to break down, and that is due to culture. Two great examples from European politics are Sebastian Kurz, born in 1986, who became Chancellor of the Republic of Austria at the age of 31, and Sanna Marin, my birth year, 1985, who became the youngest Prime Minister of Finland in 2019 at the age of 34. My work looks at many transformations that are currently creating high relevance and impact in our societies. My second area of research involves the female shift. And the most important researcher in this field is a Swiss woman, Professor Iris Bonnet, who has been teaching and researching in the US for many years and is Dean of the John F. Kennedy School of Government at Harvard University. One of my favorite books and a real eye-opener when dealing with this topic is the one entitled What Works? Gender Equality by Design. To give just one example, within companies, it is extremely important for female employees to have posted around photos and pictures of successful women. It is only a small gesture, however, with a scientifically proven positive effect. And there are many of these so-called small nudges that are highly effective in bringing about change in businesses. Yeah, that's absolutely right. And when I had the honor of speaking before the European Parliament, I realized for the first time just how strong and large our common Europe is, with over 450 million citizens. As well, how strong the competition is between the different regions in Europe. You all know the hip Berlin, where Elon Musk is currently building a new battery gigafactory, or the technology-affine Barcelona with many young tech talents and startups where I am today. However, today I would also like to showcase my favorite region in Europe, namely Lower Austria, in the heart of Europe, under the great leadership of one of my female role models, Prime Minister Johanna Mikl-Leitner. For me, the state of Lower Austria illustrates the perfect combination of tradition and modernity, of agriculture and industry, technology and culture, with many talented and very well-educated young people and a strong bond between generations. An excellent administration that puts the citizens and the economy at the heart of its activities, as well as the combination of beautiful rural space, which we have all learned to appreciate during the corona pandemic, and the close proximity to the highly developed region of Vienna with over 2 million people. Very recent studies show that investing in young companies in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland offers a higher return for inventors than even currently in the US. Now about my personal why. But first, please let me have a glass of water. So, Steffi, could you please give me a glass of water? Oh, thank you so much. That's really kind. Thank you. So, to quote the words of Steve Jobs, you can only connect the dots with hindsight, and the central theme for me started back in 2010 when I began writing my PhD thesis. This why, which has been both pursuing and inspiring me personally, either as a representative and spokesperson for my generation or as an author and as an academic researcher for more than 10 years, began when I joined the largest German chemical and pharmaceutical company, the Bayer Corporation. I was highly motivated and I was full of cool ideas. The topic that really interested me at that time, and one which I wanted to explore during my doctoral thesis, was how the biopsychosocial health of people, teams, and companies interact, and which factors had positive influence on the performance and well-being of employees and company culture. So what happened to me as a young woman over the course of the next 2 years was an absolute culture shock. As I mentioned before, I started my first week at work fully motivated, and at the end of the first week, our department head suggested that we go to the canteen together with all our colleagues, and I thought, oh, that's a good idea. So we all set off, and from our office had to proceed down 2 flights of stairs. I was the first one down the steps when suddenly I heard my boss calling from the very back, "Miss Burkhardt, please use the handrail." I was completely shocked. I mean, I was young, 24 years old and an athlete, so why please should I hold onto the handrail when climbing up and down stairs? I turned around and I was shocked at the sight of my colleagues, like a family of ducks, lined up one behind the other. They were proceeding down the stairs, all holding onto the handrail. Oh dear. And it carried on like that for 2 years. I wasn't allowed to use the Wi-Fi for my own iPhone. I was given an antique, non-smartphone capable flip phone so that I could always be connected. No laptop, show up time from Monday to Friday from 9 till 5. So, to sum it up, for me, my handrail story stands as a metaphor for all the rules, all the conformities, and all the habits that the older generations, above all men, have built up in companies over the past decades and to which many still, in their imagination, cling today. It is high time to leave the experience mode, at the very latest today. If I could set the final time for change and transformation, it would be now. Because there's a culture, a world, a time before Corona, and there will be a world, a culture, and a time after Corona. And the period in which we find ourselves presently is probably the most opportunistic time for all concerned, in particular for us millennials. It is namely the transformation era. Steffi, do you know that already today 2,500 baby boomers are leaving daily the labor market in Germany due to their age? The working population will shrink faster than ever before over the next 5 years, resulting in a gap to be filled of around 350,000 employees after just 1 year. That would be equivalent to the combined number of employees of the Dow Jones Company, Nike, Salesforce, Coca-Cola, and Apple all together, and that year after year. So by now, the very latest, this demographic problem we are experiencing in virtually all developed industrialized nations should be absolutely clear to everyone. The truth is, those who ignore megatrends will stumble over it. On the other hand, those who analyze and understand megatrends at an early stage will gain competitive advantages. Demographic change, in other words, the aging of our society, is a megatrend, but our political elites have been trying to duck this issue for the past of the last 2 decades. Demographic developments are quite easy to assess. They can be predicted for decades in advance. The greatest difficulty is to reverse them in the short term. By 2030, there will be a shortage of around 8 million skilled workers in the German labor market, with or without Corona. At the same time, nowhere near as many young people are entering the workforce, leading to a huge shortage that can only be closed through artificial intelligence, digitalization, and automatization. The overall situation is aggravated because the millennials in Europe are quantitatively in the minority, but qualitatively the most important generations in the labor market. We are the ones who reign supreme in the interpretation of the most important mass technology of our time, the internet. We are the key generations to make the impossible possible, to solve the world climate and economic problems ahead of us, and to save the planet over the next 50 years. By now, even the baby boomers, a very economically minded generation, have realized that the free market alone will not solve these problems. Money alone is not a purpose. If we do not act intelligently and shape the forthcoming changes together with us millennials, an extinction of talents will swiftly follow the war for talents. Almost all companies and businesses still rely only on spatial concepts, skills, and methods from the previous industrial age. Don't get stuck in the past 20th century with your work culture, otherwise you will lose your workforce. On-the-job learning will have a disruptive impact on working time and working space. Back in 2018, the World Economic Forum already highlighted that employees will need an average of 100 additional days of learning by 2022 to keep up with the changing world of work. And what is happening right now during Corona time? We are putting people on short-time work called Kurzarbeit or unemployment instead of supporting them to use the time productively for further development. So my request, reward your employees and your workforce monetarily when they study. Positive incentives for studying must be created, perhaps also with the help of blockchain technology. I predict today that by the year of 2030, one of the 5 largest companies in the world will be one that deals only with education. We are already experiencing the connection between pharma and tech, and we will also experience the connection between education and tech. So the question is, do we want black boxes to merge again where we cannot intervene? Do we want to leave the topic of education up to the huge money-driven tech companies? So now what I'm doing. For my human and technology-centered ecosystem, I myself investing $3 million for phase 1, the construction and technological equipment of 10,000 square feet in a prime location in Cologne in Germany. The construction work has already started. I will start phase 2, which includes the development of products, services, and AI-based software in the 4th quarter of this year in 2021. I will be holding the first investor talks for this from February onwards. You're all cordially invited to be part of it, whether as an investor, as project partners, or of course as customers. Please contact me directly or through my colleague Molly Lavik to be part of it. Together, let us create a positive vision and movement for the future of politics, business, and society that will give hope to the young generation, us the millennials. And please, let's also prepare our youngest generation to shape the future. Let's give them the right skills. First, to think analytically and innovatively. Second, to actively learn and develop their own training strategies. 3, to solve complex problems. To be creative and original when starting up their own initiatives. To step into leadership roles at an early age to exercise social influence. To use new technologies, and one which I also consider to be very important, develop high stress tolerance levels and remain flexible. If there was a time for society and individuals to invest in education and positive utopias, it is right now.
Yeah, you are absolutely right, Steffi. And all of us, whether privately, in a team, in a company, in academia, or in politics, we are all affected and at the same time called upon to be willing to tackle this issue with money, with ideas, and pride in experimenting.
So today, as a result, instead of alpha mindsets, we need a beta state of mind, a mindset that monitors the sustainability of our business models.
And diverse ideas, many different perspectives are called for, because in each and every country, everyone, be they young or old, male or female, whether student, worker or scientist, we can all contribute influential ideas that will change the world, on a small and on a large scale, through a common mindfulness.
So thank you all very much for your attention.